woman had our back. She always put us on the map. She nurtured us from a babe. She's our first teacher, look at that.
I'm feeling great, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great, I'm feeling good.
Go and get your bread up while you feeling down. Go ahead and put your head up while you fed up, while you stressed out. Yeah, I know you really messed up, but go and look around while you pressed up. Know you blessed up. Go ahead and fill your cup up with some lemonade. Cause when life gives you lemon, you block it like Russell Simmons. And just know that your life made with a clear shade. Cause I'm
feeling good, feeling good, good. I'm feeling good, feeling good, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good, feeling good, I'm feeling good, feeling good, feeling good, feeling good, feeling good. Feeling good.
What's good, black people? First and foremost, if you're first time viewing my content or this video, like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to be discussing something that a lot of people have been having a bit of a issue with, but we're going to talk about it today. So a lot of people are very informed upon the very perceptions and figures concerning Lucifer, Satan, Jesus, Heru, Set, right? Now, if you've been raised up in a Christian household, you know, or if you really went far with it, you know, you're a Jesus freak, you know, Bible thumper, this, that, and the third, you know, you're going to see particular things concerning African culture as paganistic or Hellenistic, right? Now, paganism comes from Hellenes. It comes from the Greeks. All right, that's where paganism comes from. Paganism comes from the Greeks. So anything concerning African culture or African spirituality is not pagan. It's not pagan. It's not Hellenistic. The only thing that is Hellenistic and pagan is the things that are corrupted by the Europeans, right? So when concerning let's take Kemet for an example. When you look at the Kemetic science of the deities of Heru, Set, and Asar, you have to look at the scientific formulas and the precepts there. You know what I'm saying? Because the Europeans narrated that Kemet, or the people who were dwelling within Kemet, worshiped many gods. And that wasn't the case at all. When you look at Africa, you look at African spirituality and the cultures, the many cultures within African spirituality, we all had a perception that there is one God. We understand that there was one deity, or not deity, but there was one force of energy that ruled over the world, right? One source of energy, supreme intelligence, the Most High, whatever you want to call this particular higher power. We gave titles to this particular God, right? For Kemet, you know, they called him, or they called this particular source Neter. You know, for the particular source in Igbo, they called him Chukwu, right? So you have these, or you know, for Yoruba, they have Olu or Oluwa, right? So you have these particular names that were given to the Most High, all these different names that was given to this particular source and being. Not that this wrong, but these are the names for different cultures in their language, right? So, you know, when dealing with the Bantu people and the Afrin people, you know, they had different names for the Most High. Now, when you deal with Christians and the Hebrew Israelites and you know, even certain Muslims, you know, they're like, there's nobody but Allah and there's nobody but the Most High, Yahweh, you know, they're gonna get into that. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna get into that. You know, there's no other name. There's no other name above earth and below, and you know. But you know, they have to have a wider aspect of life. You know what I'm saying? So they have to have a wider aspect of life. They have to think outside the box, the box that they were put in, even from birth. You know what I'm saying? And because most of us were fearful of gaining new information. All right, because that's what I had to deal with when I was first coming into the truth. Right, when I first came to quote unquote consciousness, the one thing that held me back was, is this going to lead me to hell? that was the perception that was given to me. What we don't understand is that hell was a concept that was created by the Roman Catholic Church. You know what I'm saying? That was a concept that was created by the Roman Catholic Church. You don't see no form or any calculation or concept of hell in the Bible, right? You might see mistranslations that will tell you, you're going to be damned to hell, this, that, and the third, and it's taken out of context, but they take this and say, you see this, if you don't surrender to my God, if you don't surrender to my perception, to my denomination, you're going to hell, you're going in the lake of fire. That's what this is the same narrative, this is the same regurgitated propaganda that was the same rhetoric that the Europeans and the missionaries used upon our people within Africa. This is what they did. They forced it into us. They beat it into us. Now, I'm not saying that what was in the Bible was forced to be into us. I'm saying that their denominations, their doctrines that they created themselves was pushed into us, was forced into us. Let's not get that misunderstood, because you will have people that would try and correlate what was in the Bible to what they taught us, and I look at the Bible as being a very complex form of literature, right? A very complex form of African literature that has been mistransliterated, all this and the third, corrupted and altered. Excuse me. So when it concerns these particular concepts, we have to understand that when dealing with the Most High, when dealing with the Creator or Supreme Intelligence, you have to understand that the Hebrew culture, right? When dealing with Hebrew people, the Hebrew culture is just one aspect of African spirituality. It's no different than Voodoo. It's no different than Yoruba. It's no different than Igbo. It's no different than Kemet or Nubia. It's no different than Ethiopia. It's no different than any other African spiritual system. We have to understand that. The thing where we get it, where we have the misunderstanding is what we've been taught through Christianity. Is that there's no other God. And the thing is that when you go into other perceptions within other cultures of their view of the Most High, it's not that it's another God. You know what I'm saying? It's the same God, they just have a different name for it. Even the same principles that's within the scriptures, they have different names for these particular principles, right? And these particular principles, the Europeans said that these were our deities that we gave praise to, gods and goddesses and stuff like that. When these weren't gods and goddesses to us, we didn't praise any other deities, right? If we had a prayer towards the quote unquote goddess of the water, the goddess of the sun, of the air, right? These were invocations towards scientific energy, scientific formulas, and certain powers that were put in place for us to have access to. It was just the key for us to unlock doors to have power. You know what I'm saying? With these particular powers and these particular energies and these particular hymns and prayers towards the sun or towards the water or towards the wind or towards the moon. This wasn't us giving worship to the sun or giving worship to the earth and this, that, and the third. These were invocations that we created to not only pay homage and admiration to the particular spiritual principles that had authority over this, but there's spiritual formulas in it itself. When you even look at the Lord's Prayer, for an example, if anybody knows the Lord's Prayer, the original name for the Lord's Prayer is Pater Noster, right? It's Kemetic, Pater Noster, and the Pater Noster or the Pater Noster is a spiritual formula for as below or as above, so below, right? It even begins with it, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts, forgive our debtors, give us this day, so on and so forth, right? For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, so on and so forth. So this is a spiritual formula, not just an invocation towards the Most High, right, or a particular principle. This is a scientific formula on spirituality. Science and spirituality go hand in hand. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. But Christianity has taught you that science is man-made. Science is something demonic. We don't need science. Science tells us that God doesn't exist. When science is the biggest thing to prove to you that there is some supreme intelligence. Science is the number one thing that can tell you that there is a supreme intelligence. There is something above our understanding, above our existence, that put things in place. That's what science is for. That's what science is for. But Europeans have made you believe that science is something that you shouldn't involve yourself in. Other spiritualities, things concerning being spiritual, they considered it, they told you that it was spookism. You know what I'm saying? They gave you the Bible and they told you to take everything in the Bible literally. This is everything that happened is true. If you don't take it, don't ask questions about it. And because you have been given this Christianity, this religious perception of the Bible, instead of looking at it from an astrological and allegorical standpoint or a parabolical standpoint, you're not going to receive the deep information and knowledge that was put there in place for you in the first place. And these Europeans, they understand the astrological and the allegorical standpoints of this, which is why they have these particular books in high places and they put their hand over it. They have it on their bookshelves. They understand the secret information within these particular books. But you still looking at it from a religious standpoint. You still looking at it from a Christian standpoint. You know what I'm saying? But getting back to the original thing I wanted to talk about, when dealing with Lucifer and dealing with Jesus, you always see them going back and forth, right? It's the same thing that you see with Heru and Set. Now, when I was talking about this on my page last week, excuse me, there was a lot of Hebrew Israelite who did not like me comparing Lucifer to your quote-unquote higher self. But when you look at the word Lucifer means light bringer. It means morning star, right? And when you have the morning star, the highest point of the morning star is at 12 p.m., right? When so-called Jesus or Yahusha or Yeshua, when he was 12 years old, he was starting to do his father's business, right? When Jesus said, "Let your light so shine that men may see your good works." That's the same light. That's the same light. When he said that ye are the light of the world, that's that same light. When he said that the light of your body is your eye, he said that the light that you put out, the light of your eye, it starts right here. The light of your body starts right here at your eye. Your pineal gland, your third eye. That's all it's talking about. So when you have Lucifer, and Lucifer was the morning star, and he fell from heaven, that's talking about consciousness. That's talking about submitting to your lower self. He fell like lightning. And it tells you in Revelation chapter 22, verse 16, Yeshua, who is the representation of your higher self, the replication of your higher self, Heru, he said that he is the light bringer. He is Lucifer. That's what it said. I am the morning star. That's what it said. So he's Lucifer, right? So you have this perception of your higher self and your lower self. You have this perception of, your Heru and your Set, right? Set is who they created to be Satan, right? Heru is who they created to be Jesus, right? This is why you have the temptation going on, or the battle going on between Jesus and Satan, when Jesus was in the desert for 40 days, right? And when he said, "Get behind me, Satan," right? He also said that to Peter, if I'm not mistaken, "Get behind me, Satan." If you look at, there's a representation of Heru and Set, and they're together, right? They're one body, and it's showing you a struggle between your good and your bad, your higher self and your lower self. The Apostle Paul, that we know of, that we have been taught. The Apostle Paul said, every time I was trying to do good, evil is always present with me. That's what he said. Every time I would try to do good, evil is always present with me. That's what it said. So when it concerns these particular things, we have to understand the spiritual precepts and the spiritual principles within this particular book, because it's very powerful. It's very complex, but we haven't been given the right information about it because we are still sheeple, But that's all the things that I have to say concerning this very topic at hand. I just wanted to give you that quick information. If you don't believe me, don't take everything that I have to say for this. Just do your own research for yourself. People calling me a Satanist. People will say that I'm misleading people. I'm a pagan worshiper. All this, that, and the third. Let's not get that misunderstood. But until next time, I'm Tyrone. Thank you for liking this video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Comment below about how you feel about what I say. If you like what I say, if you didn't like what I say, let me know in the comment section below. Check out my clothing line business and my website, which will have my clothing line business. Just go in my description box and click on it, and you will see it. All my information is in my description box as well. So until next time, I'm Tyrone, and I am out.
I'm a true terrorist.
I would never doubt that this is where I belong.
You see what I've become. My life has moved so fast. My work is never done. Through the looking glass, I see no time for looking back. The past is in the past. The future's in my grasp. In a place mentally like it's meant to be, heaven sent for me, the universal entity, drive matches intensity.